fatigue, brain fog, stress. You built success, but at what cost? Your energy crashes at 3 p.m. You rely on caffeine to power through your day. Deep down, you know you're not performing at your best. At work, at home, in the mirror. You go to the doctor. They run your blood work, maybe 10, 15 basic markers, and they tell you you're normal. But here's the thing. Normal is just the average of the population. And look around you. The average man over 40 is overweight, inflamed, and metabolically broken. So when your doctor says you're just normal, what they're really saying is you're just not sick enough for medication. That's the game called sick care. Their goal is to keep you from dying. But your goal is to perform. Those are two completely different sports. I'm Zac Armstrong, former Marine, naval officer, fighter pilot turned elite performance coach. For over 20 years, I've helped high-performing men realign body, mind, and spirit. And I hear the same thing on calls over and over. I don't feel terrible. I just don't feel as good as I used to. I just don't feel as good as I should. That is not a motivation problem. That's misalignment. And the good news? Most of it is reversible. Welcome to the very first episode of No Hype, Just Standards. This is a show for high-performing men, executives, entrepreneurs, business owners who've built successful careers but know something's off. You're winning at work, but you're running on empty. And you're providing for your family, but you're too tired to actually be there for them. Every week, we're going to have real conversations about what it takes to get your edge back. We'll talk about the training, the nutrition, the data. But more than that, we'll talk about the mindset. Because this isn't just about losing weight or looking better. It's about becoming the man your family needs you to be. The leader that your team needs you to be. The version of yourself you know you're capable of being. We'll bring on clients who've been through the transformations themselves. Guys just like you who've hit the wall and decided to do something about it. We'll break down the mythology, the science, the stuff that actually works versus the noise. And we'll keep it real, no exaggeration, no bullshit, just standards. For our first episode, I wanted to bring on someone who represents exactly who this show is for. Rory Pendergast is a personal injury attorney who built his own law firm from the ground up. Before law school, he spent 3 years as a Peace Corps volunteer in Guatemala. So he knows something about serving others. He's a father, a husband, and unlike a lot of driven professionals, he hit a point where success on the outside didn't match how he felt on the inside. We're going to talk about what that looked like, the stress, the energy crashes, the feeling that something was off. We're going to talk about what happened when he finally saw what was actually going on inside his body. Not the 10 biomarkers that his doctor ran, but the full picture. And we're going to talk about what changed, not just physically, but in his work, his relationships, and how he shows up every day. If you're a high-performing professional who knows you're not operating at your best, hit subscribe. We're just getting started, and I don't want you to miss what's coming. Let's get into it. Hey, Rory. So tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you do? How did you end up building your own law firm? And what does that look like for you in life?
So I can give you the longer term, but really I was born and raised in Montana, right? Like my great-great-grandfather.
River runs through it type stuff.
Yeah, river runs, exactly. So yeah, because my great-great-grandfather from Norway ended up in Deer Lodge, Montana in the 1880s. Now, I'm telling you, it takes a badass kind to survive that area now, and I can't imagine what it would have been like in the 1880s. So I grew up there. My dad was a lineman. His father-in-law had a power line contracting business, so I had all of this sort of lineman stuff. And I knew that that was a little too hard for me. I'm not sure if I could do that. And then my dad always wanted us to go to school. I remember him saying once, "Hey, you want to go do anything you want, that's fine. Go get your degree, and you can go anything you want. But someday you may want that degree." So got a degree. We were just kind of talking a little bit. When I graduated, I thought, I'm like, 22, almost 23. Like, I don't want a real job. So I joined the Peace Corps. Was in Guatemala for about 3 years. Met my wife there, who was also a volunteer. That we came in at the same time, same project. We got married. We tried about 9 months in gloomy Seattle, and because I had a brother there, I just had a couple kids, and after 9 months, I was like, "Where does the sun shine? Where does the sun shine?"
Yeah.
I had not been in San Diego. I didn't even know San Diego was literally on the border.
Right.
But I was like, sunshine, yes, sign me up.
Yeah.
So we moved down here, and then I got into law school. I graduate, and it's like the worst time for second worst time for a new grad, because I graduated in 09.
Yep.
And
Right
so
around the.
it was, luckily by that time we had crashed, like we had hit rock bottom. You could not go farther south.
Sure.
Right, you were done.
Stock market was dead. Yeah.
So you gotta. But what I learned is anything in life is you gotta hustle.
I was about to say it.
You gotta hustle. The funny thing is, so I just joined an adult hockey league. I haven't played hockey in like 26 or 27 years.
Yeah, and you still got all your teeth, man.
Still got all my teeth. I didn't break anything last week, so that was a success.
Yeah.
But I remember my hockey coach. I mean, this is always in my ear. He would scream at me, "Pendergast, the puck will not come to you," right? And I kept it. I was never really that good at the hockey side of things,
Sure.
but in life, that was it. The puck will never come to you.
I like that.
And I've approached life that way. So the same sort of thing. I mean, I remember, at the time most things were, it was a hard copy. You had to print stuff off, sign things.
Yeah.
And I got like an electronic signature. But what I did is I just had a white sheet of paper. I signed my name with a pen. I had one of those flip phones. Remember? I mean,
Yeah, I remember them well.
For those out there who don't know flip phones, and I took a little picture. And that was like my electronic signature that I had there. But anyways, so like anything is that when you hit it, you hustle. You're always if you just kind of push and push and push and push, not like a big hit. I mean, sometimes a big hit, but mainly just like consistent small pushes.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually, I worked for a guy and then realized, hey, I kind of want to try this on my own. Had a partnership for a little bit, and then in 2015 went out on my own with the Pendergast law firm, and then just over the years just have kind of slowly, kind of methodically grown the law firm. Still boutique law firm, but this is kind of how, through that little pushing, is how I've got to where I am now. And now it's like in May I will complete 20 years in San Diego, which is kind of wild.
Yeah, I'm not. I'll be damned. In May, I'll be 19 years. So,
Yeah.
Well, sorry, 16 years. So not too far behind you. And I agree that I did spend a little time in Seattle.
Yeah. Oh, it's you know what? I've got cousins there in the summertime.
Most beautiful. It's some of the
most beautiful.
Yeah.
But after that,
18 hours of sunlight. But yeah.
After that, they can have it. It's like it's not even like gray. Portland's kind of like gray. It's like this dark clouds. The lights turn on at 3 or 1, 2, 3 in the afternoon because it's so dark.
But they produce like Nirvana, so for a good reason, right? Yeah. So tell me, what does a typical week look like for you when you're in the thick of it? Cases, clients, running family, business and a family. How does that look?
So the other thing is I've got 3 kids, and
Sure.
they range from 6, 9, and 11.
Mm-hmm.
And so really, and I'm lucky to where, because I run things and things have gone well enough to where I have some flexibility. So, my dad was gone he worked at the shop from 7 to 6. When my brothers were younger, I'm the youngest. When my brothers were younger, he was out in the field. So he'd leave on Sunday night sometimes, early Monday morning, 4 in the morning, wouldn't come back till Friday. I am lucky enough to where I take my kids to school, right? So we get up, I'm on them, let's go, right? Yeah. We get them to school, and then my office is only, if I hit one green light off of El Cajon Boulevard, it takes me 3 minutes to get to the office.
That's harsh.
So I know, real harsh. But I built it that way. Like all of this stuff, it's purposeful.
People, they don't understand like the certain conveniences and time savings, what that can do in life. Like if you commute an hour each way every day, like you come to work stressed, you're mad. Very rarely you're gonna come after traveling for an hour happy to be at work. It's
terrible. So, and for me, I grew up in Helena, Montana. That's the capital. So as a youngster, I always thought, hey, I live in the capital. This is the biggest spot. There's 25,000 people that live here.
Yeah.
45 in the county, which is significant compared to most of Montana. But you go anywhere else in the world, And that's nothing. And so for me,
That's not called a city. That's called a town.
yes, yeah, well, yes, it is, it is. But for me, and Carrie and I, we have gone out of our way to build this little world. Our joke would be before is that somebody say, "Oh, in San Diego, have you been here? Have you been there?" And I'd say, "Look, if it takes more than 15 minutes to get there, I don't need to go there."
That's the way it feels in San Diego. Yeah.
So that's my bubble. That's
Yeah.
my bubble. 15 minutes, but you go for it. But anyways, so consistently, what it comes down to is show up, work. 5 days a week. Sometimes, years ago I used to work on the weekend some. Now, I try to avoid all of that. I kind of, right now it's kind of, it's funny that it's like more stuff that happens, more pressure at work, more cases, more people managing. Kids are getting older. Now it's like we hit this time this year to where my kids just have stuff going on all the time, which is good. Kids need it.
Yeah,
But
100%.
they're not driving themselves there.
Not yet.
Right? Not yet.
Elon hasn't got that figured out yet. Soon enough.
Soon enough.
Yeah.
But so now it's like I have less time kind of in the office, but even with that less time, I'm able to do more.
Yes.
Right. And that's kind of efficiency. And so it's just, and for me, I need that sort of push to efficiency. Look, if you give me 10 minutes or an hour, I will get it done. Right. If you give me the hour, I'm going to take the full hour, maybe hour 5.
I think it's human nature, part of the human condition, right?
Yeah. And so that's been one good thing is like compressing it and having those sort of markers. And it's not just about the responsibility of the moment. It's about what's the next responsibility you have, right? If the kids get out at 2:45, if I'm not there at 3, they're scratching their heads wondering where I'm at. So whatever I have to do during the day, there's a cutoff point. Because it's not just this fake sort of blah, oh, I'm going to do this so I can complete it. No, it's because I got stuff to do afterwards that's more important.
The kids.
Yeah. And then, home life and taking care of everything, doing what you got to do.
Being a dad that you want to be.
Exactly. Being the dad that you want to be so that you're there, so that the kids know what your name is, they know what you look like.
Present.
Because
there's one thing to be there and be on the couch falling asleep, and another thing to be present in your kids' lives.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I mean, you said it too. Like your dad you didn't see him as much because he was working all the time. My dad died when I was young, and so like missing those aspects of life. It's funny how your parents can be a good example of what to do or what not to do. Not that your dad was doing anything wrong, but like it definitely pushed you to where you want to be there and more present. And I know that because I know you well. But it's funny how that can happen.
Well, and then you got to, my wife would have it no other way, and I'll give it to her. Like our lives are much better because of what she expects.
She runs the roost, right?
Yeah, but some of the stuff, and it kind of makes sense. And so for some of it, what was, I over the years, I've realized that I am very competitive in nature.
Sure.
And I never really realized that when I was younger. And really what it was is years ago, I ran cross country and then long distance in high school. And I wasn't superb, but I wasn't terrible, right? I lettered.
You were chasing the pep.
Yeah, right. So, but I could run. And then I stopped running for a long time. And then my dad and my wife and my brother and his wife ran the Rome Marathon in 2008. And for anybody who's going to participate in a marathon, watch a marathon, be there, like go to Rome if you can.
Sure.
Like, we just said like the moon and stars aligned and away we went. But we ended up, it was my mom and I think we hit like 5 viewing places. And no matter where you're at, you're seeing like the most amazing.
Coliseum.
All of it.
Vatican.
All of it.
Yeah.
And so I was inspired after that, right? And so then all of a sudden, so I was like, well, I want to run a marathon too, right? And so I chose the easiest marathon I could, which is in Long Beach. It's very flat and fast. I'm not knocking Long Beach. If you want flat and fast, go to Long Beach. And as I start to prepare for this and start to train for it, I start to realize like there's like this animal. Like I want to beat this. I want to do this. I want to go. And it was this strange sort of thing. And then my goal was I wanted to try and qualify for Boston, which I did, and then ran Boston a few times. I think I ran like 5 or 6 marathons in all. But it was through this running that I start to realize, wow, I'm kind of competitive. Well, right as the running takes off, so does that's when I start to be an attorney. I get my license and things are going on. And then on the professional side, there's this sort of area where I get to just express this sort of like urge to push and push and push. And it's never really against somebody else. I'm not saying, hey, I'm on the A team, I'm going to beat the B team, right? It's internal. It's internal that, hey, yesterday I ran the mile in 6 minutes and 30 seconds. And now I want an average of 6 minutes and 25 seconds. And so it's all of this sort of self-pushing.
So that's a perfect segue into, at what point did you realize what you have? You're this competitive guy. The puck doesn't come to you. Hustle's your middle name.
Yeah.
At what point did you go, all right, something's not right here. Like, this is not who I am anymore, or something's gone. Like,
so
something's missing.
What's wild is, I turned, I think it was about, 40 didn't really bother me. I remember everyone saying, oh, 40. Well,
Didn't
40
bother
was
me either.
nothing. And then I think it was like 41, around 41, we were living in Missoula, Montana. It was, the pandemic hit. And so we're like, psh, we're out of here. We got out of here, spent a year in Missoula. And there was this super cool old school Dairy Queen, right? Like, it's only open in the summertime.
Chili dog blizzard. Right?
Yeah, exactly. They make their own dilly bar.
Yeah.
Right? And it was right across the street from the kids' school. So I picked up the kids. We walk over this one day. It's getting to be springtime. The snow is melting. Oh, the sun is going to start coming out. It's great. And I have this just like really delicious. I think it was just like their soft serve with like chocolate or something on it.
Yeah.
And I'm just, like, I kind of, my head kind of bobbles a little bit. My eyes blink, and I'm like, oh, whatever. We get home. We get the half-mile walk home, and I just crash on the couch. And I start to realize I used to eat a lot of sugar, like candies and whatever, just sugars. And all of a sudden I thought, wow, no, I was like, there's no way it's the ice cream that did that to me. The
sugar crash,
sugar-filled Dairy Queen ice cream could ever have done that. And as the years went on, the diet was, it was just getting worse and worse, meaning what sugar would do. And then, but I always ate fairly well. And then, about that time, I had started running consistently. And I was running 3 miles a day, anywhere from 3 to 7 days a week. And it was going good. And then as the years kind of went on, it just wasn't enough. I ended up, there was a spread of time where by like 11 o'clock, I started having what I realized were, aches in the head. Because somebody asked me, did you get headaches? Oh, I don't get headaches, thinking like it comes from within and goes out. Well, no, yes. My head was aching because I'm like grinding, all of this stuff. Sometimes by 11 a.m., my day's done. And so I had like a schedule of important things and then things that take no thought that had to get done. And sometimes after 11, I'm doing the things that took no thought to get done.
Yeah, and that's a productivity standpoint, efficiency standpoint. When your energy dips we check out.
Yeah,
we 100% check out as human beings, and this is our nature, right? We don't mean to. That's that's probably why people feel fearful of AI, right? Because we know, oh, this has potential to beat me. Or that competitive nature. For someone who's competitive like you, though, like, how hard is that to accept that was going on to where maybe you're not, somebody who's self-motivated, doesn't chase his puck, hustle, right? Sees Rome, decides I'm going to come run a marathon. Not your typical average guy. And you've definitely felt average, right?
Yeah. Well, it felt average, and what was weird is humbled. What's really strange is to sit there and think I'm Thumper. I wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and my
baby reference.
Yes, my foot is just bouncing, ready to go.
Yeah,
and then you don't have that, and that is weird, and it sucks.
Yeah,
and it really makes you think. You're like, oh my goodness, I'm not.
My superpower's gone.
My superpower's gone. I'm not old, but I'm not young.
Yeah,
and so then you really start to think, okay, this is the long haul, right? Yeah, I think
that is for you too, though.
Yeah.
Right. Too many times we go, this is not just a long haul, and we just first interpret it for ourselves.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of times, especially as we get older as men, when that really comes into factor when we look at our kids.
Yeah.
And you're an older father too. I'm an older father too, right? We'll be in our 50s when our kids graduate high school. So at least some of them, right?
Yeah.
And there's a certain amount of, it humbles you because if I don't change it, I'm not going to be that father I want to be, or that, even worse, that grandfather.
Yeah.
Like I remember some of my relationship with my grandparents was sitting down and watching TV with them. That's how we spent time together. I could tell you Andy Griffin show, Perry Mason show, right? Stuff that like people don't know about anymore, but I remember because I watched them with my grandparents, right? And that's just I don't want to be that way.
Yeah,
like, it's very much like how, like, maybe you didn't mean to, but in the beginning you definitely talked about your kids, and you spoke about them in a light in which that had the importance level of them too.
Yeah.
Right. And like, how humbling is it to think about, if I don't change how I am right now, how will that look for me there?
Yeah.
Like, if I lost my superpower now, how am I going to be in 10 years from now?
Exactly. And then what is this? And what's so wild about it is I don't know if it's just thinking of mortality, if it's morbid, but you really think like we're at a point when you get into your 40s where you get to make a decision. And that decision is that I'm going to hit 80, 90, maybe even 100 in good health.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe you putter along into your 70s in terrible health, feeling terrible, in a terrible mood.
Yeah, and I talk about it all the time about, hey, the average life age is 74, and it varies, and it's a couple years older than that now. But the truth is, modern medicine is going to keep your ass alive.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah, maybe the body.
The body, but that's what
keep the body. But what about my mind
and the actual quality of life
and how the desire? So
Right.
that same sort of thumper, patting in the morning,
Man,
ready to hit it.
I'm
That's
gonna watch
what
Andy with the kids.
Yeah,
tonight.
that's what I'm looking for as I get older. Right.
Me too. And I say it jokingly, but it's not really a joke. I'm going to beat my grandkids in the dead ass sprint at 7.
Yeah.
I'm going.
There you
like,
go.
That's
You
what's
just
gonna
you get them when they're 2.
Yeah,
right?
hell yeah, it's achievable then. Was there any specific warning signs that that you were trying to push through besides the headaches or anything else?
All of that stuff. I would say for me, and I think for most, in my business, what I see a lot of people is that when you have a change in anything or some sort of deficiency, there's this initial denial, right? It's like the reptilian part of that brain, right? That keeps us safe from
the
the
alligator
things
part
you
of the brain.
touch. Yes. Yeah, truly. That you just, hey, if I am conscious of this, that means it's real, and if it's real, I have to deal with it, and that's bad, and I don't want to be bad.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just this weird thing. And so for me, there was this whole sort of slight sense of denial without seeing it. Well, it's just like, for example, my head would hurt. I would have headaches every single day, starting at least by 1 p.m. Usually, it could be as early as 11 a.m. It could go all day long. But when somebody asks me, do you get headaches? Psh, no, I don't get headaches, right? It's more like, well, no, I don't want to. But you have this sort of thing. And then it was funny is that about the time I kind of started engaging in LinkedIn and moving on, I found one of I can't remember what it was, one of the things right off the bat. And I was like, that looks interesting. That looks interesting. But here I'm a skinny dude who runs, right? I'm a skinny dude who runs.
Yeah.
I'm not lifting weights in a gym. I'd never lifted weights before, right? Never had lifted weights before. So I was like, okay. And then I can't remember, there was one thing that you had. It was, and I was like, well, that's kind of interesting because it was, yes, it could see you're in a weight training facility, but you're talking about like general health or nutrition or something. And it was this weird, my brain couldn't quite decipher what's going on. I'm like, wait a minute, is this weight training? Is this nutrition? What is going on here? And so then I just kind of silently watched for about a year. And each time it'd pop up, following, and then I got the newsletter. And then every time it'd pop up, I'm like, I should do this. I should do this. I should do this. And I think it was about the year marker.
Yeah.
Right? And the year marker I'm starting to realize, well, maybe being in my mid-40s, there is going to be a change, and there is actually something that I can do about it. And it was uncomfortable because it wasn't really what I would normally do. What I should say this is what the funny part is, and what's the kind of the ironic part is, any point of being uncomfortable was in my mind before I actually talked to you.
We do that as humans. It's because we're feared of rejection. We're feared of the unknown.
Yeah.
How much
can I do this? Am I going to be bad at it? Is somebody going to laugh at me?
Yeah. But it is funny. None of that ever happens.
Never.
Almost in all aspects of life, right? The puck doesn't come to you. I love it. I keep using it in this reference.
Yeah.
That's life. Or you're just talking about, like, if you don't go and do it, it's not coming to you.
Yeah.
Right? But one thing that I like there where we talked about you waited a year. And looking back now, like, I know we actually talked about this before the show, like, looking at time in general, like 6 months, a year. It's not as long as we try to make it
anymore. You get kids and it's just like, whew.
Yeah, it's not as much as we think as a reference guide. But what does waiting cost you? And we're talking about in generality, but what did waiting cost you too? So and that's put in two perspectives. Like, what did waiting actually cost you there? And what does waiting cost overall, you think?
Well, I mean, here's the thing is, like, I'm not one to have regrets. And I'm one that when something happens, I have to be ready for it to happen. And for me, that's what it was. Is I wasn't ready to be able to hit it as hard as I knew it could be. I'm the type that when I want to do something, my brain will wrap itself around it, and it could be this weird delay, and people could think I have no interest. But it's just that I'm working through it because the moment that I want to engage, I want to grab it, I want to go for it.
Yeah.
But what it cost me was, I mean, this was every single day. And I'm not just talking about little headaches. And, it's not like, oh, the sunlight's killing me. I can't look at this. It's just pain.
Nagging.
Yeah. It's annoying. It made me short-tempered. Nobody wanted to be near me. You come home, you're sitting at dinner, your eyes half crossed, looking out.
Just grinding through it.
Yeah, just literally and figuratively grinding through it all. And without realizing that, hey, there's something better out there. There's something you can do about this.
Yeah,
right?
that's so well put. Because in life, we look at so many things and we just assume it's got to be this way because we're taught that.
Yeah,
we're so fearful of change.
We're
so fearful, or just of failure. What happens when you fail?
You learn.
It could motivate you.
You motivate. You learn.
Give you some
you
fuel
go.
for fire, right? It could make you better. You might fail at that, but what does that failure get you for somewhere else in life? What did playing hockey? You weren't the best hockey player, but what did it teach you?
Yeah,
something you're still using as a quote today, right?
What's so wild is that, I mean, it's really thinking about the impact of hockey on my sort of mental state, my mental capacity, right? Is I remember when I was, I think, a sophomore, I was on the B team and the A team. The A team would always, or the first line and the second line would always play each other. And they would just throttle us. It's like we're practicing at like 4:30 in the morning, right? At 4:30 in the morning, the last thing you want to do is just get throttled every single time. So I finally go to the coach, like, Coach, dude,
what's up?
Come on, what's up?
What's up, man?
We're getting there. And he looks at me, he says, Rory, I've watched you now for a few months, and every game that you get beat, you learn something and you get better. So
every time.
Is that what do you want to go to where you're not learning something, or do you want to do something where you're learning? And I'm like, done.
Yeah. It's when we win or get exactly what we want without effort or any like
you learn nothing.
It's like the hero's journey, right?
Yeah.
When we go to he doesn't become the hero until he goes to the path of the journey, like his origin story, right?
Absolutely.
We learn from our failures, and that's what like kind of shapes our life.
Yeah,
it makes us individuals. It makes us better or try harder, and too often that's too overlooked.
And so I mean, what I would say is that for me, it's not. There's not a point that you can say, oh, this surpassed me. It went by. Train left. Adios. Can't. Too late. Right. That doesn't happen. But then also, we're not in I wouldn't say wait unnecessarily for anything. But then for me, what was the wildest thing is that I can't remember how he reached out, whatever it was, and you called, and I was like, wow, this is like just a nice guy. This is interesting.
Yeah.
And I remember then I, because I'm in San Diego, I went down to because I was like, look, dude, I have no idea what I'm doing. You got to show me. I need to see something. I need to feel it. I need to be there before I try to go lift weights somewhere and look like an ass.
Yeah.
You need to show me something. And then we did that, and we went down, and it was like 45 minutes, and I was like, oh, I can do this.
Yeah.
I can do this.
Easy. And now you're at a gym doing it yourself. Speaking of which, before we started working together, I know you talked to your doctor. What did he kind of tell you what was going on with you? Was there?
Well, so here's the wild thing is, one of the things that happened kind of coincidentally right at the same time, right? Right as I was hitting the peak point of calling you, I had this sort of, for lack of a better term, like this episode, right? I was sitting, my neighbor runs this nice, beautiful shop, like like a restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got something, and I had no idea what inflammatory foods were,
Yeah.
right? But basically, every single thing they have is inflammatory. And so I had this big meal, and all of a sudden, I mean, it felt like I took like 4 shots of whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, whoa, that's weird. So start researching into it and realizing that, hey, I've got like this stress-induced intolerance to inflammatory foods.
Mm-hmm.
And so, because before then, what was wild is I had some blood work done, and they said somehow I had like high cholesterol. Well, that does not run in my family.
Well, not only that, before we met too, you were a vegan there for a while.
Well, vegetarian, eating,
yeah.
and and so, or even like pescatarian,
Yeah.
right? I had, so when I get this,
Which was almost
yeah,
have
right?
high cholesterol doing that
Yeah.
lifestyle is almost
And so
unheard of.
I'm eating like a bunch of salmon,
Yeah.
and like mahi. And they tell me, oh, you got high cholesterol, stop eating red meat. And I was like, whoa, it's gonna be hard because I don't eat red meat right now. So then I cut out all of this, anything inflammatory, which is basically everything good. Not quite everything good. But I cut out all this inflammatory foods. And then, but through your program, I need protein, right? I need protein.
Yeah.
And so I'm eating a bunch of ribeye steaks, right? And like, I can't get enough of it. And then not just like because I need protein, because I'm just like, I need some ribeye, give it to me.
Yeah.
And so I'm doing that. I get tested again. And the doctor, she's like, wow, what are you doing? I was like, I'm eating a ribeye a day. And then I started realizing, I think it was that because like the inflammatory food would cause something, which would cause something, which would cause something, which then elevated my
all of
cholesterol.
cortisol, everything was inflamed. And it was about 2 months, I think, in the program when you were like, something's not right. And we were messing with your diet, and you saw it, and we figured out the inflammatory stuff. And
Yeah.
it was about a month in when we switched, and you went all that. And then it was just, the change was incredible.
It's a super change, big change.
But,
and a lot of that is because here's the beauty is that to understand anything, you have to track it. I don't care where you're at, right? These are just maxims through the world. To understand anything, you have to track it. And so beginning to track calories, protein, food intake, exercise,
sleep, your heart rate variability,
everything,
your resting heart rate, all the stuff that people, or the sleep efficiency, I spoke about this earlier with someone else, like the sleep efficiency is puzzling, and because I always find it funny, and then I said this earlier too, was we always set a time to wake up, but we never set a time to go to bed. Because you ask somebody when you go to bed, it's usually a range of an hour or so. But when you actually start putting like stuff like, hey, I'm going to go to bed, 15-minute window, like 8:30, 8:15, 8:30, and you get efficient with it. It's funny how when you get your body used to it, you go to sleep pretty quick.
Oh yeah.
You lay down, you're in sleep, and you wake up, you get 8 hours, and you start getting rested because we're habitual.
Yeah.
Habitual by nature. When we put ourselves into habits, it's amazing. And it's not like you have to do it all at once. There's small little tweaks. And that's exactly what you did.
Little steps.
It's exactly what you did. And from what you did, from just where you started and where you are now, like how big of a difference of a feeling is it from an energy standpoint? And
energy wise, it's huge. I'm getting back to where I, thumper, ready to go in the morning, and then, but more than that, ready to really push throughout the day. And that's the big thing.
Yeah.
And I, one thing I remember, running was my only sort of release.
Yeah.
And I remember I told you, well, I'm a runner, and you said, well, you got to stop doing that.
I know that was a hard conversation.
And I was like,
what do you mean I'm going to lose weight or lose fat by not running?
But now, I mean, it's great. This is the one thing I didn't realize is how awesome it is lifting weights. And like the workout that you get.
And you never lifted.
And I never lifted anything.
And so you were how old when you started?
46.
46. Did you feel, this is just more for anybody who's listening.
Yeah.
Like, how uncomfortable were you when the first time you walked in?
Well, this is what I'm saying is I would not walk in anywhere until I walked into your place.
Sure.
And you showed me. And then you even told me then, you're like, hey, look, go to any gym. You're going to realize. No, your words were, nobody's paying attention to you. They're paying attention to themselves.
100%.
And I walked
Unless you're doing something crazy.
Yeah.
If you're doing like an upside down pull up or something, they're gonna be like, what the hell is this dude doing?
But more than that, and so I walk in exactly. And then I just went to a local gym that I can walk to because I'm convenience for me. Efficiency. And super nice. Everybody's there they have their own reasons for being there. And that's why they're there.
Yeah, 100%.
That's what it is.
To better themselves.
Yeah.
What's funny is like, usually the nicest people at the gym are the best people. The people are in the best shape.
Yeah.
They're the ones that are most willing to help.
Yeah.
Like, hey, because they've been there.
And you told me that, and I was like, this is BS. But no, you're spot on.
Yeah.
You're spot on. You're right. And so getting into kind of the habit of doing it, and so then the body it's like waiting for that workout time, right? Because that was, I mean, for my running, it was 3 miles would do it. That was, I needed 3 miles. It would clear the head a little bit. It wasn't doing everything I needed, but I'm getting even better feelings from working out than not. So here's one thing wild that I did not ever even think about. Because I always thought, well, hey, I eat well and I run. I'm a runner. I run. All of these things. But what I started to think is about, as a runner, the goal is to be as efficient as possible. So that means my core is engaged. But more than that, I don't want to use muscles, right? I just want, like, if I'm using muscles, it's creating restriction. Tension, which can cause injury. So the goal, I mean, of course, there's some tension.
But it's repetitive.
But it's repetitive.
Super repetitive.
And what I realized is it is not just repetitive, but the exact same motion.
Yep.
And what I didn't think about is, like yoga, if you go up in yoga, you go down. In yoga, if you go left, then you go right. And because you need to make use of everything, all of these joints do these funky things, the body, it's like Leonardo DiCaprio dancing in that, right? That's what
Wall Street.
Yeah, you need that body
That's
to
be better movie reference than Bambi.
But you need that movement, and that was one of the biggest things for me with lifting weights, is realizing all of these different movements. The slow, steady movements, it's working different parts of the body.
Yeah. What's even crazier, if I said, like, you started probably like May of last year or June, I forget which one, probably June. I told you in April, hey, you're going to eat more calories in a day.
Yeah.
You're going to do less cardio, and you're going to have more energy, and you're going to, I have the photos.
Yeah.
I could tell you which guy looks better. You weigh 15 pounds more. You have a 6-pack now. You have more energy.
No.
You eat more. You do less cardio. And your RHR, your resting heart rate, your HRV, everything's improved.
Yeah.
Would you believe me?
No. Not at all. Not one little bit. And I think that's the big thing. But it was, for me, is like, because I had no exposure to it beforehand, I had no idea what it was, right? I just thought it was a bunch of meatheads going to work out or whatever.
Well, I will pride myself. I always say, like, I don't do gym bro shit.
Yeah.
It's always it's data, it's analytics, it's blood work that we do. It's a full encompassing program, because when you have the data to back up, there's no guessing.
Yeah.
Right? When we can see things, and we can see 2 weeks of data. Hey, this is working. This isn't. Let's change.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Let's do that.
Yeah.
And it's just like no difference than you with a law firm. When you build a case, you have to do it systematically. If you just go in there guessing and throwing stuff, it doesn't work.
It doesn't. If you just, you want to just throw spaghetti up, that's good for knowing when your spaghetti's done, but not for this sort of stuff.
Yeah, and that's, and that'll take me to a good point here too. Obviously, you obviously are good at figuring stuff out, building your own firm, being successful there. What was it like having someone in your corner like this?
Well, I was actually surprised, because my wife jokes that I kind of like to do things on my own.
Sure.
Like and what was more than anything is that I hate people telling me what to do. I hate my calendar telling me what to do. But somehow with this, like the app tracking everything, I loved it, because I could see the direct consequence, right? What the data meant, the direct consequence. The first thing that happened, the first 2 weeks, it was impossible, it seemed, for me to hit the calorie count and to hit the protein count.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized quickly, I have been unintentionally starving my body
100%
for years.
People don't realize that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially when you're a high performer.
Yeah.
The amount of, like, obviously I wouldn't want anybody to run in the nature you were, but the amount of tears you're creating on your body, and what were you replacing it with? Nothing.
Just nothing good. I mean, my 2 giant bowls of ice cream every night, that wasn't cutting it.
No.
Right?
And so taking it back, you didn't like the people on the calendar telling you, the calendar telling you to do much of that. But what was it feeling like having the person there? Because obviously you know at this point, like, if you ask me a question, the response rate is almost probably ridiculous what people would expect.
Yeah. Yeah. It actually was very good. So one, not just like, because you got a bunch of gears spinning up, right? Clicking all these things. And at first I remember some of it was like, okay, hey, particularly in the workout, right? Taking it piece by piece. With the workouts, that is amazing, right? Because I don't necessarily need somebody there showing me exactly what to do or over my shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
I like to figure things out myself. And videos for each of them. I mean, you're just spoon feed me with stuff. The videos, most of them are review. And so I'd watch it like, okay, oh no, elbow in. You see where you're going, nice and slow, steady. You know the reps. You know what you're supposed to do. You know, it tracks everything for the past. So you know, hey, what did I do last week in here? Was it this? Oh, here it is. Boom, boom, boom. And then, so workout wise, and then the other thing is you're on a clock. You're on this timer. And then so for me, some days that you can sit there and think, hey, I'm going to take an extra little minute, extra breather here. And then I look, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. But if I slow down right now, I'm going to be 5 minutes over my last workout. And I don't want to be 5 minutes over my last workout.
Goes back to competitive nature, right?
It comes back to the competitive nature.
Yeah, leads into that.
And then
that's what's great, self-competitive.
And then somebody there watching it.
Yeah.
And in a very nice and caring way saying, hey, this was, your heart rate needs to go up, right? I mean, what I interpret that is stop being lazy and get to it, buddy.
That's a nice way to put it.
That's a nice way to put it. Oh, hey, your heart rate needs to go up a little bit more.
Might be worded a little different than that the more I get to know you.
But so that sort of stuff. So you got someone in your corner there being like, hey, even though you're not there, and it's weird because it's like, I don't want somebody over my shoulder. I don't. But you are in a sense because you can see it in real time.
Jimmy the Cricket, we'll go walk.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, Pinocchio.
Yeah. So you're used to handling objections too, obviously. So like, cases, clients, depositions, family. How easy is it to fit in something into your lifestyle?
I would say this, right? It takes a dedication. It takes a dedication. Right? Because I've got, 4 days a week, I got like 45 minutes an hour where I'm going to this stuff. And then with the food, tracking it, all of that stuff. But one thing that I like and that what I need is, anything easy to me isn't worth the time.
Sure.
It isn't worth the time. And if you want something easy, then go. Good luck finding it because there ain't no free lunch in this world.
No.
And so what I like about it is it's this challenge of saying, hey, because first off, you have to there's this sort of philosophical sort of conversation that you have to have with yourself. And that is, all right, I've hit a certain age. I've slowed down a little bit unnecessarily. But you see the path, if I make certain changes, if I give up something and work for something, I can have that greatness feeling again. And that's what this is. And so in that case, it's easy for me to carve the time out.
It is, yeah. And I think too, what this allows that, the traditional, like having someone over your shoulder is it doesn't have to be a set time. Like it doesn't have to, all right, my trainer's at 11 p.m. I got to go there now. Oh shit. I just got hit with, ex parte. I got to be in the courthouse here in an hour. I got to miss that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Then I'm just going to move my workout, or you change it where you need to because it adapts to the person.
Yes.
Because, your travel schedule the last 2 months has been the same.
I know.
And we still adapt for it.
And so just for myself, I try to keep the times about the same because that's just kind of good for me. But
it's good for habits.
But flexibility. And then so kind of getting back to it just comes down to it's not easy, but if it was easy, I want nothing to do with it. And so, but what I like is because to get value out of anything, you have to see why it is that you're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And so if something is difficult, if you have to move a schedule, if you have to, take that extra time to do it, there's a benefit to it and there's a reason to it. And the harder it may be, the more of a reason there is. And so in that sense, it's been very easy for me to fit all of this in. And then it's just fascinating. It's just fascinating tracking on everything.
Obviously, since you've been with me, the evolution of what I've been able to do and provide is night and day. Like you can push a button now, and you have data in your hand immediately now on a daily basis now on the app. But outside of just that, like you've had a metamorphosis or a transformation, ever how you want to put it, like from the way you consume food, the way you approach life. Let's just talk physical change. What physical changes have you noticed?
Well, one is that my body feels a lot better. I've always had the skinny guys have kind of low back pain for the most part.
Mhm.
Like it's just there. But this is because I'm truly moving my body. I'm the Wolf of Wall Street moving
Yeah,
around without
yeah,
screwing people on the penny stocks,
yeah.
right? But you're moving around, you're doing all this stuff, you're working the body. That just out of the gate, without opening your eyes, you're there. And then, I will never be a huge person. It's just unless steroids start to come in, which no, thank you.
Yeah.
But I'm just not going to be big. But man, like one day I put these shorts on. After I think about 4 months in, I put these shorts on. I was like, whoa, these are tight,
Yeah.
right? Because realizing that the legs are getting big. Like you look in the mirror and you just look cut.
Yeah, so we don't even notice it sometimes. It's such a subconscious thing of where, you talked about my legs feel bigger. It does something different to us because when we walk in a room, we feel different. We might, approach things in a sense of where, because confidence goes such a long way.
Yeah.
Like, to approach a girl, to go do anything in life, sometimes it takes like that certain level of like, I can do this. And when you have that confidence, it creates something in us. So when we do things, we're naturally a little better at it. Do you feel
Well,
like?
yeah. I mean, if you look at, the other thing I would love to read is Napoleon Hill, right?
Mhm.
And you look at the old school Napoleon Hill stuff, and that's everything is about the pleasing personality and how if you exude confidence and if you can kind of go into something, and absolutely. So some of it has to do with, for me, it's twofold. One is that, your body starts to look better, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was always one that I'm just there's no meat on me. So I could go do 30 sit-ups and you could start to see the formation of muscles,
Mhm.
right? But still, I had like, the back, the shoulders, it's just like it's just looked lacking as you start to get older, you start to hunch over a little bit and it just looks worse and worse. And so to really look in the mirror and say, wow, So one is that yes, I look good, I feel good, I look good, but for me more than anything is the accomplishment of saying, I've never done this. And now I'm becoming, a pro at it. I'm not saying I'm going to go,
Compete.
but
Yeah.
like I can walk into to the gym.
And feel confident.
Feel confident. I know what I need to do. I know what I can't do, but I know what I can do. And so to be and why it is and what it does. And that sort of feeling is fantastic.
Yeah.
And then for me, I can tie it directly to how just overall I feel better. And then when you're done working out, I mean, I feel better than any sort of run that I've had.
And I say this all the time. It gives you something that like money can't buy that.
No.
Like you talked about it earlier, like you can't no free lunch. You can't buy that feeling. Like that's you have to earn it.
Yeah.
And the way it makes you feel is way different than going and buying something.
Yeah.
Because you know when you've done it, you've accomplished something.
Well, and that's one of the things that drew me to marathons. I didn't quite understand it with the first marathon because when you haven't done it, you don't know it. But even the training difference between a half marathon and a marathon, it's like 5 times harder, the training aspect of it. And to do it, it's 4 months long. And by the end of it, you're running like, I would run like, I think it was 5 miles, 8 miles, 5 miles, and 17 miles on the weekend. And I couldn't just get up and do that, right? Right now, I could get up and maybe do 2 miles. But for me, what I love is that long term of the only way you can climb this mountain is if you take each individual steps. And that's where we're at right now.
Yeah, I agree. But even with those small steps that you've been taking, how much has your energy and focus changed? And how much do you show up differently, in court, your clients, and your family?
Well, first off, and here's the beauty of it is that I think it's not just one thing, right? Because when you start focusing on your calorie count, your fat intake, your carbs, your protein, and then you really start to think, okay, if I eat something, how do I feel afterwards? Where you may not try to make that connection. Then when you're working out, then when you're tracking all of these other items that we track through all of this stuff, it really it made me realize that, yeah, it was like sometimes 11 a.m. that my brain was crapping out on me because it's just like my eyes would feel burning. I've got this head. So all of a sudden that's gone because of the whole kind of comprehensive approach. You're looking at tweaking everything within it.
And I think it's easier to do too because of the perspective of you're not doing it all.
Yeah.
You're literally just entering your food, and you're literally just entering your workout. All the
Yeah.
rest is done for you.
Yeah.
And it's given to you in a very consumable approach.
It's given in a consumable approach, and then if there's something else I want to know about, for instance, acronyms,
Yeah.
you can search it and you can look it. And then for me, I can search it with a direct connection. Because the other thing is that I don't like fake things. You know, like people that like the mock trials or the mock things. Like I want the
Oh, yeah.
I want the intensity of there's consequences. And so to be able to have that and be able to reach back and kind of understand what it means and make that connection, for me is fantastic.
Yeah, and we get to see that all. We get to see your REM sleep, your efficiency, all of it is just included, and it gives you a holistic approach. And we do our blood work with all that. It gives us this. It's about using it.
Well, I can't remember what it was. I did something, and you would like immediately responded, and it was like like somebody in the shadows watching me. I was like, how do you know that? And I was like, oh, because all of it's entered in.
Yeah.
Right? It was just kind of funny, but it was spot on. And so for me, that's it, is that it has, yes, more energy, and then it's like more energy throughout the day. And then, you work out, and then, so I've timed mine to where I get my like really production work done, the tough stuff in the mornings, afternoons do this. And so then when I go home, I've burned off all that bad stuff.
Bad juju's gone.
Here. Bad juju's gone. I mean, most of it. Some of it's still there. Look, we're human, right?
And I've talked about this so many times, but when we make the small changes and through time, we don't notice them, right? Because you're focused on the macro, you're focused on this, and then now, and you probably look back now and go, because we're not at a year yet, we're about 9 months. Who the hell was that guy?
Yeah.
Right? You don't even realize who it was. Like,
yeah.
If you look back, a year ago, 2 years ago, like what would you tell that guy compared to the guy you are now? What do you know now?
Well, I would say that just do it. When I was looking there, here's the thing. Why was it that I tagged it, connected with you, whatever it was on LinkedIn? Because deep down, I knew something was there. I knew that there was a deficiency in my body, in my life, that I wasn't willing to kind of overtly, absolutely say. And I knew that somehow there was something that you were saying that was resonating with me. And so what I would say is that when you are in that spot, because this is what happens, you can't, in your 40s, you can't live your life like a 20-year-old.
You can. There's repercussions.
Yeah, there's some serious repercussions. Yeah. There's some serious repercussions, right? But even if you try, it's a terrible existence, because you're not, like, you need to be a mean, lean, clean, burning machine.
Yeah.
And so it's one of these things, don't get on yourself. If you start to do it and you think you kind of hold back, because you got to be ready for it. But just jump.
And I think it's important too, like, especially with you, like when you came into the program, you weren't somebody who was doing all this crazy stuff. Like we were talking about, hey, I couldn't live in the 20s and 40s. I just want to make sure you were not living that life.
Well,
you didn't drink. You didn't eat red meat. You didn't go out. You lived what most people look at. Oh, that dude's living like about the healthiest lifestyle as possible.
Yeah.
But
rarely eat out. Don't eat fast food.
It's been years since you had a drink.
Oh yeah. I quit. My wife and I tried this thing about 4 or 5 years ago where we just went like a month without drinking. I had such sugar, like ridiculous sugar withdrawals. I was eating a box of Juji fruits a day, sometimes two, because I'm like, oh, those Juji fruits, give them to me. And then I was like, whoa, that is crazy. That's crazy. And then somebody told me, like, oh yeah, you gotta, that just takes a while. Yeah. And so I thought, man, that's too much sugar.
It does that to me.
I know. Yeah. And then you start thinking about, oh, sugar eats the eyes eventually. It's like, that sugar's bad stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, don't get me wrong. I'll still, not nearly as much, but
I just want to make sure, like, you weren't. Like,
no, I was. This is the thing, is I was
healthy eating, no drinking, no going out, like family focused, business focused. Like, there was nothing. People would look at, but that dude needs to obviously go get a coach to do something.
Yeah, no, but those that watch it, and if there's something that resonates with them, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And even if they're not, you're not perfect, but when you're sitting there in your 40s and you're just like, hey, I've lost a slight step. And I don't want to say I lost it, but I've misplaced a step.
And we said it earlier. You felt average for Rory.
Yeah.
Not anybody else. You weren't comparing yourself to anybody else. You were looking at Inner and saying, I don't feel like I should.
I don't.
I'm not where I should be.
I don't feel like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because I don't care about other people. The other people aren't going to do me
Except for
any
your
good.
clients.
Well, yeah, well, no, yes. But with respect to like some sort of competition
Right.
about who eats better or who lifts more, who whatever, I'm not concerned about that. The better way to say is I'm not concerned about that. What I'm concerned about is me.
Yeah.
And how do I process things? And am I getting that fulfillment? Because there is a fulfillment in setting a goal and achieving it.
Yeah.
Right.
So you're beating your grandkid.
Yeah.
70 years old,
Yeah.
desperate.
No, I mean,
Even if they're 2.
I've got my grandfather is 100, turned 100 in August.
I
And
remember
this
that,
guy
yeah.
is sharp as a tack.
Hawaii.
He was just Wikipedia celebrated their 25th anniversary. He was a part of it, and they interviewed him, and he's like dancing, the
it's so
ballroom
cool.
dance a little bit. And so I'm thinking, hey, I've got good genes.
Yeah, because and for anybody who obviously doesn't know this, your grandfather picked up being a Wikipedia guy at like 75, right?
At 86.
86.
He started editing for Wikipedia.
That's so crazy.
86. And so you think you're like, hey, if I hit 86,
I'm going to be a Wikipedia editor.
I want to, maybe I won't do a Wikipedia, but I want the physical and mental ability to be able to do that.
As an attorney, you evaluate risk and return every day. What's the case for making an investment like this in, yourself or just your overall health? Or it's one way to say, hey, I'm making an investment for myself, but you're also making an investment for yourself, for your future, for your children, for more than just the initial investment of your health.
Well, I would say this. I would look at the investment, the word investment in 2 stages. There's money investment, and then there's time investment.
Mm-hmm.
And I will tell you, the money, it is
always make more of it,
right?
You can always make more money.
Yeah, and it is pennies. It is nothing. Like it is when you think about, okay, so let's say you're not feeling good. Oh, I'm gonna go get a massage, or I'm gonna go do something else. I'm gonna go away for the weekend. I'm gonna do something. Well, one trip somewhere is gonna cost more than 6 months with you.
Yeah. Right.
And so then it comes down to the time and dedication investment, right? And now that, like everything in life is you get out of life what you put into it. So if you're looking for a lot, if you expect a lot, then you better expect to put a lot into it. And then, I mean, it's for me, it is looking at risk reward. You're losing by not doing something like this, right? As you get older, you have to change with the times. You have to make adjustments, and if you don't, you're going to be worse off for it. And
so the cost of not doing it, it's
the cost of
heavier.
The cost of doing it is nothing compared to the alternative.
Correct. I want to end with this, because family has been something that, you've said multiple times in here that's impactful from you, from your grandfather, from your children to your wife who runs the roost. What have they noticed about you? And let's end on that. What have they noticed about you that really hits home that they've said? Or is there anything that you can think of that's like, man, they're noticing? Or
absolutely. One is that, my kids will say at dinner time, they're a nice way of saying is that I'm more present.
Mm-hmm.
I'm nicer, right? Because, I mean, I can still be kind of short-tempered sometimes, but still, that fuse is a lot longer. Right?
Yeah.
Except you're like, hey, this is the 4th time I told you.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's different.
But you have all that. I have more. And for me, what it is it's that you have 24 hours in a day. You've got hopefully 8 of it you're sleeping. 8 of it you don't see your kids or more because they're in school, you're in work. And so you have this, it's
finite.
This finite time, and it's just like a kick in the teeth because it's the finite time when I'm at my worst at night, right? My kids were up at 4 a.m. There's all sorts of stuff we could do, but I'm at my worst at night, and what it's done for me is it made me a hell of a lot better during that little section of time. And so with the family time, with hey, we're gonna go down to the beach, just go for a drive. Yeah, let's do it. I'm saying yes a lot more as opposed to I don't want to do that, right? Yes, yes, yes. The kids notice it, right? I can see it in their eyes. I can see it in their expressions. I can see it in the way that we interact with each other. My wife, she noticed. She says, "Whoa, my husband's got muscles now, right?"
That never hurts.
Yeah, I know, especially for the skinny guy.
Yeah.
Right? So, looking better, feeling better, better mental state. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and that's well put. And I just want to thank you for coming on and just say we're all better for hearing something from the a person with your humbleness, because you might not come across that way, but you're very humble, will go try out and, not let the puck come to you, and that hustle. And just being able to see what kind of example you can provide to your family is something we can all take a little something from. So thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.
It's been fun.
All right. Rory, thank you, man. I think a lot of guys watching this needed to hear your story. And here's what I hope you take away from this conversation. You're not broken. You're misaligned. The fatigue, the brain fog, that stress, those aren't signs that you're failing. They are signals that something needs to change. And most of it is reversible. Rory came in wanting to make a physical change. What he got was much more. Better energy, sharper focus, stronger relationships at home. That's what happens when body, mind, and spirit get back in alignment. And look, I know some of you are thinking, I'm too busy. I'll do it later. But here's the hard truth. Your kids, they don't want your money. They just want you to play with them. And that window is closing. You've got, 5, 6 summers left where they actually want to hang with you? Don't waste another year watching from the sidelines. If Rory's story sounds like yours, if you're a high-performing professional who knows you're not operating at your best, I want you to know that meaningful change is possible. You don't have to figure it out alone. We're currently opening up to a small group of men who are ready to operate at full capacity. If you want to learn more about working with me and my team, go to my website and schedule a free strategy call. We'll look at where you are, where you want to be, and whether we're the right fit to help you get there. No pressure, no pitch, just a real conversation. And here's my promise. If we can't improve your sleep, your energy, and your performance within the first 30 days, you don't pay. That's how confident I am in what we do. This is the first episode of No Hype, Just Standards. And we're just getting started. Every week we'll have conversations just like this one. Real stories from real guys who decided to stop settling and start performing at the level that they know that they're capable of. If this conversation meant something to you, subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen. And share it with someone who needs to hear it. You know the guy. Send it to him. And remember, you cannot lead others if you're running on empty. Empower your body. Invest in yourself. I'm Zac Armstrong. I'll see you next week.